Hello, my little droplets. Welcome back. I know it has been a hot moment since I've been on here, but I'm coming back with this drawing of these pandas. So right now I'm laying down my rough sketch. I'm using this red Prismacolor, and I decided not to use graphite or like a mechanical pencil because I find with watercolor, since it's so light, it will show under the watercolor. Now this will also show, but it blends in nicer than like the gray of a pencil would. I'm not trying to get this first sketch perfect because I can always correct it with the watercolor as well as the micron pen that I will be inking it in. So when I first started laying down this brown, my initial goal was to just lay down a flat wash with just water, but my brush wasn't completely clean. So it becomes this brown, but as you can see, as I'm going further in with more and more water, it's like getting diluted. And I'm sorry for the camera going in and out. It does get better soon. I will do best to make sure that in the later videos I have the focus set. So I have to wait for it to dry, of course, with watercolor, but through the magic of editing, you guys do not have to wait and see that. I'm just going in actually now with a brown. And since it did lay like that reddish tint first, I thought that was like a nice little undertone. So I don't repaint the tree. I'm just using like the shadows. I am using a reference for this photo. And you'll see me adding like some green here to the leaves. It's almost like a greenish blue in a way. I'm using preset colors that I've already have on my palette. And obviously a panda is not red, but you'll see me using reds and like yellows as an undertone so that my colors don't look flat as I lay them down. I want them to look like very vibrant. As you can see, like that looks like a warm black on the panda's like face as well as his leg, which if I just use straight black, it would look flat and dull. I always think it's so funny how like pandas and other bears can climb trees because like for most animals, if you're like trying to escape them, you can climb up like a tree because they can't get up there. But if you climb up to get away from like a bear, it can come after you. And so that always tickles me. But yeah, they are great climbers. As I mentioned before, you do see like the red underneath the watercolor, and even though I am going in with this micron, it's still there, but it doesn't really bother me, especially as I fill in the background. You'll start not to notice it quite as much, and it's not as harsh as the gray would be. It'd be dulling the picture, and I want to look like a warm, vibrant scene. A good difficulty for many artists is trying to color things that are white because, well, white is just a paper, but white things, they do have shadows. So in order to remember this, I will be using a light gray to do the shadows, and it almost looks like water here, but it's not. It will dry gray, and that is to indicate the shadow. Like his arm is covering part of his belly, so even though it's white, it's darker because of the shadow from the sun. I'm just adding some finishing details to give his fur some textures, and that's what you'll see me doing with the micron right here. Now I'm transitioning to this second panda that's on the ground with his leg up in the air. The one thing that I did not know is like on their rump, they tend to have like brown patches of fur. I thought they were just black and white, but there is some brown to them. Now this is Bear. I will give you a spoiler here. He does give me a lot of problems throughout the drawing. I do edit a lot of it out because it's a lot of me being frustrated. But he still will be included, but I'm going to have to change him in the end. As you can see, when watercolor dries, it dries a much lighter color. Like his ears look like very dark black, but his leg that dried is almost like a gray. It doesn't look quite black right there. That little like C that I made on his back and that other line, that I feel like really bothered me throughout this whole painting. And I will have to go in at the end and fix it with acrylic marker because watercolors just aren't dark enough to fix mistakes like that. It's not going to go over a pen where you can't see it. You will be able to see it unless you just don't dilute the watercolor, and then at that point it's not really watercolor that you're using. So I'm going back in with his leg to make that a little darker and add a little shadow to it to make him not look so flat. And then as I transition to like the rocky scene behind him, I'm laying down what I'm going to consider a beige first, and then I'm adding brown over it. You'll see me do that quite often. Usually when I paint with watercolors, I just go in with the color that I want it to be. But I've been watching like a lot of other watercolor YouTubers, and they talk about adding not just the first color that you see, but like mixing colors on the page. So I was just trying to see how that would change my drawing. And I did get a little splotch of red on the side, and it mixed somewhat with the blue to make like this purplish. And you see that at the bottom I did add purple. So not terribly mad, but you do kind of see that red there. I don't know how that happened. I was watching TV as I was drawing this, so I just imagined that. Wasn't paying attention, a red drop dripped on the page. So I know from this it seems like it's going to be like a fall vibe with the red and orange leaves, but as you can see now, I did go over that. That's just the glaze that I was adding. I change it. I just wanted to see how different colors would look under green. I always wanted the leaf at the bottom to look the darkest, so the red I was able to achieve that look. As I'm adding details to the lake, the one thing I really wish I did is not assume that I knew how waves occur in the lake, but look at a reference image. I do it for most of the things I'm drawing in here, but for that one I just took all the confidence that I had and just went for it. But that's okay. I think it still reads as a body of water, so that's really the main goal. I'm not going for realism here, just does it look like it? And it does, so. Now this red tree is one of those things that I really do like and almost wish I kept in the final detail, but I was going for a more realistic drawing, so I decided to get rid of it. And the yellow I'm going to go over with green, and I wish I recorded it, but I was watching TV and got distracted, so when I hit in for this section, I forgot to hit record when the yellow dried to paint over the green. So you'll see me going in here with the brown that is the tree is going to be, and I'm using that same brown on the leaves to give it some texture, because leaves aren't just flat green. Like they have, I don't know what you'd call that, but like ridges maybe. From there, I'm just darkening up this area under the tree as well as the lake. Now I really wish I would have used a reference photo when I was coloring in this lake, but I was just watching TV as I was doing this project, so I didn't really take much use of the references, but that's okay. It keeps it fun and cartoony, and it's not too realistic, so it's my interpretation. And you see that huge jump. I ended up finishing the sky, and I kind of went for like the sun is just about setting, so you see the different colors of purple at the base, and it goes up to a blue. I will come in to add a little more depth with it with some colored pencils at the end, but right now I've just broken out my microns. That is one of the main pens that I use for my outlines. The one drawback that I have for microns is that you have to use them afterwards. You cannot use them first and then lay down colors because they will bleed. But I feel like most pens bleed, so it's not that big of an issue. You see me coming in with these different Prismacolor just to give more vibrancy to the area. And I wanted the panda to look more realistic, so I'm drawing a little shadow under him. And you'll see me going back between the micron and the Prismacolor just to add these final details to it. So I am adding the thickest pen work where the shadows are the deepest, because that's where there'd be least amount of light, so it'd be the thickest area. So with the yellow Prismacolor, I'm just adding some color to some of the clouds so that they're not the white, or if you want to say the beige of the page, and giving it some depth with the little orange. And I threw that also on it's supposed to be rolling mountains up front. I don't know if I quite achieved this, but it's all right, I would say. For my first attempt of doing rolling mountains, rolling hills when I usually just do mountains, I can appreciate it. And there's some things that I'll change in the future if I were to add it again. But I really like how the Prismacolor, it's smooth and it layers over the watercolor nicely. Now this panda in front, I didn't get the color quite right on it. So I'm going in with acrylic markers, which are opaque, over it. You see me laying down the white for the base of the fur, and then I'm going to darken up the black. I had to use another acrylic marker because it just looked too light. So here's the complete drawing. I hope you liked it, and I will be back with consistent weekly updates. Take care, everybody.